council meeting, so I don't know if these are available on video later or not. It's always good to help me with my quotas and things like that. Thank you.
All right, we're going to start. We're going to call the meeting to order at this time. Everybody's ready? Okay. Well, good evening. It's February 7th, 2019. It is 6:31 approximately, and welcome to the Village of Royal Palm Beach Council meeting. And I ask everyone to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Diane, please let the record show that all members of council are present this evening. Yes, ma'am, I will. I didn't say it was Thursday. I think I gave the date, but it's Thursday, February 7th. We do this to make sure it's officially on the record, so. This evening is always a delight to recognize the tenure of some of our employees, and that's what we're going to be doing this evening. And this evening, we're talking about a gentleman who's a key component of the leadership team for the Parks and Recreation Department. So I'd like to read the presentation in recognition from Mick Olachek, who's assistant park. It's an inside joke. Everybody messes up his name. Right? He's been living with this since he's been here. Mike joined us in January 26th in the year of 2009. He was brought in as a program supervisor of athletics, where he was responsible for planning and coordination of numerous athletic programs. With his physical education background, this was a perfect fit for Mike, and he kind of jumped right into that role. And we have a lot of, believe it or not, we have a lot, over the years, a lot of athletic programs, particularly for the youth, obviously, and he was able to coordinate those efforts. In April 12th, 2012, he was promoted to recreation superintendent, where he was responsible for numerous recreational programs as well as the daily operation of the recreation center. We have a lot of things going on at the rec center, as you know. And then on September 21st, 2017, Mike became the Assistant Parks and Recreation Director, which is the role he's currently in. To describe Mike, to talk about the person he is, I think the information provided here is right on point. And it's exactly, the person described here is the person I've come to know over the many years I've been working with Mike. He's a take charge type person and doesn't shy away from making tough and sometimes unpopular decisions. Mike is a true leader in the sense that he leads by example and doesn't ask anyone to do something that he wouldn't do himself. And when he is given a responsibility, he sees to it that whatever he does it to the best of his ability. And that is exactly what he expects and what he gets from his staff. He treats everyone with the utmost respect and is highly respected by others within the Parks and Recreation Department, as well as all of the other departments in the village. Mike is truly an asset to the Parks and Recreation Department and is a vital part of his future and the future of the entire village. And we want at least another 10 years and more. Come on up, Mike. Well, that was a quick 10 years. Mike also plays golf.
I'll let her go first, and then I'll do
You know, it's always a pleasure when I talk with citizens in various locations, sometimes at the grocery, a lot of times at the Publix, and they talk about how they think this is a nice village and why they like living here. I just want to say it's the staff, all right? It's the village manager's team, all of his leadership, and their staffs and their leadership, and folks like Mike that help to make this village really the place it is. So it's always a pleasure to acknowledge our team that we have out there every day making Royal Palm Beach be Royal Palm Beach. So we're really grateful for that. All right, we're going to move to reports tonight, and I'll start out with an item I'd like to talk to the council about. I hope the village managers had conversations with you individually about this, and it has to do with us considering moving to a one meeting a month official schedule, which I think our charter basically requires us to do, to have at least one meeting a month. I was looking over the last year, in particular last year and even the year before. There were some meetings every about 3 months right off the bat that we don't have a first week meeting of the year. We've had a couple of meeting schedules this year that we didn't have to have a meeting because we didn't really have anything to put on the agenda. So it just seemed to make sense for us to consider just moving to a third Thursday of the year, a third Thursday of the month schedule. And what that will do is it still leaves us the option of still having a first Thursday. If something time sensitive comes up and it's something we have to, we could still do that. But just as the normal course, let's just make our normal schedule to be the third Thursday. What I'm asking tonight is for us can we agree to have this put on the agenda for next meeting, and we can, and the reason for that is give us a chance to give notice, to the public if anyone wants to come and share their thoughts with us on that. But anyone okay with that?
That's fine.
Yeah?
I'm fine.
Yeah. Put it on the agenda.
Permanent?
No, permanent.
Okay.
Yeah. But as I said, we'll always have the option. If we wanted to, we could still schedule a first Thursday if there's something that's time sensitive that we need to have the council address.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, then we'll just look to put this on the agenda for the 21st.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Third
The
Thursday.
third Thursday.
Third Thursday.
Okay.
When we're gonna-
With that, I think we'll start with you, Jan.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I had the pleasure of attending a couple of meetings since we last met. The first was the town hall meeting, which also the mayor and vice mayor attended with Senator Bobby Powell and and State Representative Matt Wilhite. They like to address the residents through a town hall meeting a couple times a year, once before session starts and then once after. So they provided a little bit of an overview of last legislative session, and then talked a little bit about some of the expected topics that they'd be looking at this next one. Home rule issues will still be there, environmental issues, education issues, and a whole lot more. But I really wanted to share their contact information again, as anyone who wants to reach out to them, they really welcome that and like citizen participation. So Senator Powell can be reached at 561-650-6880, and Representative Wilhite can be reached at 561-791-4071. And then I also had an opportunity to attend an artist brainstorming session. So the Clark Hewlings Foundation Fund for Artists, which it's a weird connection, but I'll get there. They're located in New Mexico. They did a listening session at Royal Palm at CGR Fine Art Gallery and Frames. I said, what was the connection? Well, Jack Rosen, the owner of the gallery, is connected to the Ricky Report. The Ricky Report is by Ricky Leiter, who produces this newsletter about all things artistic. And she connected the fund to CJ Art. They have a listening session, and really it was about trends for artists. What are some of the more creative ways that this organization can help artists grow their businesses in a professional development way, or technical assistance, and not just artists, but the world of creatives, because the younger generation doesn't want to be considered artists, even though they're doing art-related work, photographers web designers, illustrators. They're all not,
They're doing
categorized
creative
as
work, but
creative,
they don't want to be classified as.
right. They think the artist is the person who's painting on the wall.
Got it.
Anyway, really interesting listening session, and they're going to do a follow-up session in April, a virtual follow-up session, so that folks interested in what they're doing for our local artists can get involved. And it was a nice turnout. There were about 40 people there. They represented from Martin County all the way down to Broward County, but we had a nice collection of our own Royal Palm Beach artists. So that was great.
Right.
That's good.
Thank you.
Keep us posted.
I will.
Okay.
Interesting.
Hey. You done?
That's it. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Just a reminder that it's that time of year with the Village Royal Palm Beach scholarships coming up. The information's online at the Village website. We're getting very close to the end of the period of time when you can turn in, or your students can turn in their applications. In fact, they must be postmarked no later than Friday, February the 15th. And that's a week from this coming Friday. They can either be mailed and postmarked, or they can be hand-delivered to the clerk's office by close of business that day. The finalists will be available, or will have to be available for interviews on Saturday, April the 27th. And those interviews will be conducted, as they always are, by the Education Advisory Board. The winners will be announced in May, and the scholarships will be awarded at the Village Council meeting on Thursday, May the 16th. If you have any questions, call 790-5101. So don't forget, if you know any Royal Palm Beach students who are going to graduate this year, make sure you encourage them to apply. Speaking of legislative matters, I've asked Diane to hand out some light evening reading for you. There's about 120 bills in this document, which comes from Florida League of Cities. Some of you all may have already seen it on the website. Florida League of Cities Legislative Committee normally conducts a Monday update during the session, and they will be doing that again this year, starting on March the 4th and running all the way through April the 29th. The session actually begins on March the 5th. They had a preliminary, kind of a kickoff conference call on February the 1st, where they provided an overview of, I'd say probably maybe a third of these bills which were listed. These are legislative bill summaries, and they will be continually updated on Florida League of Cities website. Of note, though, as Jen was talking about, the concern for, and we have good reason to be concerned for, maintaining our local decision-making authority, we're going to be defending home rule again. And if you just kind of thumb through this document, you see the word preemption again and again and again and again. And what that is a legislative bill that is being proposed to pull the decision-making authority up to Tallahassee, removing it from where it resides right now, which is either at the city level or the county level. Every year, we wind up battling. Last year, we were very successful. There wasn't a single preemption bill that was passed. New administration, a lot of new people, and there's no lack of indication that we're going to be battling over this again, case by case. What's always interesting to me is how varied the attempts at preemption are. For example, this year there's a bill that's being proposed to remove any kind of regulation of vegetable gardens from the responsibility of the cities. And these vegetable gardens aren't necessarily the ones you might have in your backyard, but rather the idea that some people should be permitted to have vegetable gardens in their front yard. Interesting notion. Pulling it up to the state legislative level is, again, one of those, I suspect, an issue that came up with an individual who put the bill together, and so that's how we wind up dealing with these preemptions. Another one is, almost every year we can count on the state legislature helping us out with how to run our meetings. A little sarcasm there. But again, if one of the bills in here goes into at length, telling us how many minutes we have to allow for individuals, and the only time we can exempt cut that from the 3 minutes that we normally offer to 1 minute is if there are 20 or more individuals who wish to speak on a single. I'm not sure we need all that help, but anyway, so we're going to be into that again this year.
That's really micromanagement.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So we're back in the mode of home rule defense, and we thank our village attorney for putting together a nice summary paper, a good talking paper for all of us to be able to refer to in order to be able to get support from the public to maintain the decision-making closest to the people. So thank you.
Okay, we'll get this up on the website in various forms to make it available for the citizens to see. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Richard?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening. We all attended the CAPSI Martin Luther King event, so thank you again to them for another talented, packed performance that they had. And it's great because they had several performers there this year that have been with them for multiple years, and it's really fun just to watch them grow as they perform. So thanks again for a great event. We had a Recreation Advisory Board meeting, and we have an update from our youth football that all 3 teams made the playoffs. I know we had the recognition of the state champions with us, but 3 of the teams were conference champions in their own right, and that they are looking for coaches for next season. So to take that into consideration. Youth soccer, we have 490 registered for spring, and they will give out $500 college scholarships as well. So there's a process to go through. So if you have somebody who plays on the team, that they're eligible for that, their qualifications. Youth basketball, youth baseball is projected to have 400 registered for it, and that's a combination between baseball and softball, and that's up 70 from the year before. So it's great to see as they keep adding teams, and this year is the first year that they have a travel softball team, so those are expanding as well. Veterans Park lighting, we talked about all that being replaced. The basketball courts were replaced in 3 of our parks. Working on security cameras throughout the parks as well, so Lou gave an update on that. Commons Park, the bid is out for the windows to be replaced in the sporting center, and that they're going to replace the shade sails in the park as well and add new shade to the dog parks and lighting as well in Commons. Young at Heart, they have over 384 members so far, so they're still taking applications or membership forms for that. And then we have 3 upcoming events. February 12th, the Royal Palm Beach Community Band will be performing back at the Cultural Center. Yep. The 22nd is they're doing a concert in gourmet trucks at Commons Park, and the band is Gypsy Lane Band, who's going to be performing. And then March 9th is the bike rodeo. So they're going to do that again with PBSO. Yeah.
Bike rodeo.
The bike rodeo. Thanks.
Okay. Just since you mentioned it, Ray, I got I think I may have sent it to you, an inquiry from a citizen about the dog park and the condition of the landscape or the grass. Did you got that?
Yeah, I did get that, and I forwarded it to Lou. Fortunately, unfortunately, that's our busiest dog park, and
It's
our
used.
grass parking lot shows, and so
Yeah.
does our dog park. And
Okay.
I mean, they do close sections at a time up to really keep grass growing in there. We'd have to close it a lot more than we close it now. What Lou does in a lot of the high traffic areas, he just doesn't put the sod back in and puts sand in there, and the dogs like the sand too. We did budget monies to pave the parking lot.
Okay.
To take care of that. So
Okay.
we have improvements,
You're on it.
and
Okay.
so
Okay. Just wanted to make sure since you mentioned it.
I'd like to also take the opportunity to, as the council knows, we have money budgeted for an intern. Our intern is visiting us here tonight, Brett Petrovich. He's finishing up his master's degree at FAU, and he's here doing some covert financial information for me.
Covert? We don't want, no covert.
Covert.
What are you majoring in?
Getting a master's in public administration.
Okay.
Good choice.
So this is good. This is a good internship. Good luck. Okay. Okay. Anything else, Ray?
No, that's it.
That's it?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Jennifer?
I have no report, thank you.
Okay. All right, that concludes our reports this evening. At this time, is there anyone who has a petition they'd like to present to the council? Now would be the time to do that. Seeing none, all right, we're closing to reception of petitions. I have one comment card this evening for an item not on the agenda. I don't have any comment cards for items on the consent agenda. So with that, I'll call up our Lady of the Village, Diane Queller. Haven't seen her for a while, so glad to have you back, Diane. How
I
you
know,
doing?
it's wonderful to be back. I missed you all, really. Yeah, Diane Queller. I live at 123 Sunflower Circle, and that is located at the very northern section of the village. And I am on the canal, which is what I'm trying to address tonight about the problems we're having up there. As you all know, and I know a couple of you weren't on council, but years ago, we really fought the neighborhood there along the canal about the boat traffic. And we pushed and pushed council, and they did listen to us, which they usually do, and they gated in the boat ramp over there because we were having so much boat traffic that was really not supposed to be in our canals. So they gated it, paved it, and the boat traffic is down, I'd say 75%. Dave Swith, our ex-councilman, came up to me a couple years ago after a council meeting and reported that he was out on his kayak, and that was the first time in years that he didn't feel like he was going to get run over by a boat. So, of course, he reminded me that it cost the village about $250,000, but you can't put a price on your life. So the problem we're having now is the boat traffic is down, but it's the boats that are in the canal are speeding.
Speeding? Okay.
And the problem that we're having is we have not seen the Marine Patrol out there, and I can't tell. The only time we saw them was in December when we had the boat parade. There was the Marine, our Sheriff's Patrol out there. We did call the sheriff the other day for a boat that is constantly speeding. We did follow this boat down the canal, and we gave the deputy the address of this speeder. And he said he was going to go over there and talk to him. The deputy did make a comment to me about, when I said, why is there no Marine Patrol out there anymore? I mean, when the sheriffs took us over, we were promised that we were going to have a lot more resources, a lot more safety, and he kind of alluded to me that they just don't budget for it every year. So I'm here to kind of, make council alert to that we have a problem in these canals with the speeders. And as we know, the new Belisara that is going along the M1 canal. See, our canal is the skinnier canal that comes off the M1, so we're probably less than 100 feet wide. Mm-hmm. So we've lost probably, my neighbor has had a pole out there. We've lost the last 25 feet of my property, the shoreline, is easement. We've lost at least 15 feet of easement. And I've been in that house, I built it 30 years ago. So we've only got 10 more feet, and it's into the property I'm paying taxes on. So this is a problem. Plus the other thing is just the safety. We've also noticed there's a lot of jet skiers out there that are underage. And as the deputy reminded us, they're supposed to be 14 years old and have a life jacket on. We've seen probably kids that are maybe 10 years old that are out there with no parental, things. So we just need some more enforcement. I know the captain is here and stuff, and I don't know if he, would make a comment or something about that on what, we can do to, make these canals safer, because I just don't want to see, number one, something happening, and number two, losing more and more of our shoreline, because, there's people that are going to be along the shoreline there at Belisara will be concerned about losing their shoreline too, even though that M1 canal is a lot wider than our canal and stuff. So I just hope we can get it in the budget or get with our sheriff's department on just increasing more of the Marine Patrol out there.
That budget comment, I don't understand what that's about, but the village manager will certainly look into this, and he will get with our captain, and we will address it.
Because we did. We had an opportunity when they first took it over, 10 years ago the sheriffs took us over?
12 years now.
Yeah. My husband ran into the Patrick, the guy that was on the Marine Patrol, up at Dunkin' Donuts. So he made the comment, my husband said, we're having a problem. He goes, well, I've been going to the council meetings the past couple meetings, and there's a Mrs. Quellen that gets up and is really concerned about the correspondence. He goes, that's Mrs. Queller, and that's my wife. He goes, okay, is she home now? He goes, yeah, I'm taking her her coffee. So he met us up in back of our house, and he stood there and talked to us, I guess, for about 45 minutes or so. He never realized there was, this much water out here in Royal Palm. I said, there's 29 miles of waterway.
That's
People
our
have
beach.
not a clue how much water's out here. Exactly. Yeah. So he. Yeah. And so he made the comment. He goes, I've been in the water here for about an hour. He says, I've already pulled over about 10 people for not having their FL stickers on their boats, their life jackets, and all that stuff. So he said, when we take over, things are going to change. And they did for a while, and the boat traffic is down, but now we've got to address these speeders. Yeah.
One of the realities of law enforcement, either on the water or in land, is that you do get behavioral change when you have the presence and it,
Oh, yeah.
And so what happens is the behavior changes, it goes down, and maybe we back off, and maybe now we have to go back. So, but the village manager will get he will get with Captain Nayox, and they'll address this.
Good. I appreciate it. And thanks again for keeping Royal Palm Beach one of the best cities in the nation to live in.
That's what we're here to do.
Right
Thanks
on.
for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your input. Appreciate it. As I said, I have no other comment cards for non-agenda items or consent agenda, but if anyone here would like to speak, now would be the time. Seeing none, I'm closing public comment then on non-agenda items and on consent agenda. And with that, Diane, can you give us a consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Number 1, approval of the minutes of the council regular meeting of January 17th, 2019. 2, adoption of resolution number 1903, a resolution of the Village of Royal Palm Beach honoring 50 years of municipal home rule in the Florida Constitution, committing to an educational initiative to help Floridians understand this beneficial right. 3, approval and authorization for the village manager to enter into an agreement with each of the following vendors for catering services: Pete's Place, Alexander Events, Catering CC, and Shea Gourmet. 4, approval and authorization for the village manager to enter into a professional services agreement for architectural services with DHTA Design Florida, LLC, for various projects in the Village of Royal Palm Beach.
I just got a quick question for you, Jeff. The resolution on home rule, is that from League of Cities?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All 39 cities are doing this, or you don't know?
I don't know how many, but they've all been asked to do it. No,
Okay.
I think the majority have.
I think, given what you just shared with us about the assault on home rule again, this is timely. It would be good if we're totally united in this. But okay.
And my only curiosity about this is actually the 50th anniversary was last year, if I remember correctly, and we were very successful in defeating all of the attacks on home rule. Now, I don't know whether that was in celebration of the 50th or what that was, but in any case, it's coming out of this again this year.
It's persistent. All right. Are there any comments? Any members of the council? If not, I'll look for a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no opposed. Diane, please let the record show that the consent agenda was approved 5-0.
Yes, Mayor, I will.
First item on the regular agenda this evening is a public hearing to approve application number 180066, an application by Insight Studio, Inc., and resolution number 18-22, confirming a council action. The applicant is seeking final plat approval for the plat of Westland Center, platting a tract of land totaling approximately 2.13 acres and located at 260 and 300 Business Parkway. Bradford, you're on.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. The land that we're speaking of lies within the Industrial General Zoning District and conforms to platting requirements as a village code. That site is shown here on this slide. It consists of 4 buildings. And the purpose of this plat is to, the owner would like to subdivide his property so that he could sell some buildings off that he's not using currently. More specifically, the plat contains all information as required, meets all dimensional requirements for an industrial general zoning district, and staff is recommending approval of this application, Mayor, and I'll turn the floor back over to you. Thank you.
Okay, is the applicant here? Would the applicant like to make any comments? No? You okay with the way it was presented? Okay.
Briefly.
All right, then with that said, then I'll look for comments from members on council. If there are no comments, then I'll look for a motion.
Members of the public as well, public comment.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I have no comment cards. That's why. I have no comment cards on this agenda item, but if anyone would like to comment from the public, now would be the time. Seeing none, Then we'll close, thanks, we'll close public comment on agenda item R1. And then there are no comments coming from members on council. I'll look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve regular agenda item number 1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no opposed. Diane, please let the record show that agenda item R1 was approved 5-0. Agenda item R2 is also a public hearing to consider application number 18-104, an application by Schmidt Nichols, and adoption of resolution number 19-2 confirming a council action. The applicant is seeking site plan modification and architectural approval for 7,875 square foot church or place of worship situated on approximately 1.22 acres of land located at 660 Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. This is also a quasi-judicial
Yes.
item, so
Thank you. This is quasi-judicial, so if you are going to be speaking on this application, if you could just raise your right hand for me and I'll swear you in. You don't have to stand, it's okay. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And I'll ask council if anyone has any ex parte disclosures that they need to make.
The mayor, myself and the village manager met with the pastor a couple of weeks ago, basically just to make sure they were updated on what was being done and what had to be done for them to move forward.
Okay.
And to make sure to let them know that we welcome them to the village.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. The applicant is seeking approval of a site plan modification for an existing church or place of worship. The site consists of 1.22 acre parcel that's located within the single-family zoning district at 660 Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. The applicant is proposing to change these changes in order to update the site plan and to bring the site into compliance with village code to the greatest extent possible. The proposed site plan changes include adding 16 paved parking spaces and drive aisles, adding 14 grass parking spaces, which are shown here in green, adding a new driveway connection to Royal Palm Beach Boulevard, shown here with a blue arrow, and adding walkways and adding interior and perimeter landscaping. This here is an illustration of the landscape plan. As you can see, it gets pretty tight along the east property lines and these portions of the site, and the applicant has done a very good job of committing and fitting in as much landscaping as they could and as they did in these areas. In reviewing the proposed in reviewing the site plan modification, staff considered parcel size, parcel width, setbacks, pervious area, parking, landscaping, and building height, and these conform to village code. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered this application on January 22nd, 2019, and voted approval by a vote of 5-0, and staff is recommending an approval. I'll turn the floor back over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here for the applicant who would like to make comments? You satisfied with the way it was presented? Okay, good. Then with that, I'll look for anyone who would like to comment from the public. I have no comment cards, but if you'd like to comment, now would be the time. Seeing none, I'm closing public comment on agenda item R2, and Selena, you're up.
Just have a quick question, Bradford. If you go back to the very first slide when you were talking about, right, so on the south side, you can see it at an angle where it's the grass. Is it grass that they're adding there? And is that the garbage, is that the enclosement for the garbage area?
Excuse me.
This slab?
So this area, I think, is the area that you're speaking of. It'll be grass, and it'll also have some trees and some shrub material around the trees. And yes, this is where their dumpster enclosure is.
Okay, so it is staying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we built that, so that's what just
Right.
checking. Well, Rotary built it, so sorry. Just making sure it's still there. Thanks.
Okay, right.
Any other comments from members on council? If they're seeing none, then I'll look for a motion.
I make a motion to approve regular agenda item number 2.
Second.
We have a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no opposed. Diane, please let the record show that agenda item R2 was approved 5-0. Congratulations, and hopefully everything continues to work well for you.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, with that, we have no further business this evening before this council, so we are adjourned.